Hi, I'm Christy McAllister, and in this lesson plan, we're going to be learning the main ideas of a story. This is specifically for English for first graders. Um, the big idea or the essential question would be, what are the major events in the story, and what are the important details that help tell the story? In the Idaho State Standards, RL 1.1, which is ask and answer questions about key details in a text, and then RL 1.3, which is to describe characters, settings, and major events in a story using key details. Some of the objectives would be that students would be able to identify objectives from a story read to them, then interpret the story based on the worksheet that is provided. And some objectives would just be that the student would be able to understand the idea, setting, and the main characters to every story that we read after this lesson plan. So after the assignment is completed, we can apply it to every story that they read so they understand the main ideas and the characters that come along with the story that was being read to them. Another objective would be that the student would be able to understand how to describe key details about the story that I read out loud to the class before they started their worksheet. And this would help students dig deeper into stories to understand key details in not only the books, but in movies and other things as well. Some materials needed is a story, just preferably one that goes along with the topics that we're working on. So if we're working on space and science, it's like a space story or something along the lines of that. And then a worksheet that is based on the story that includes a timeline of the story's events, scissors to cut the timeline, and color pencil or markers to make it their own and colorful. So the class activities what the students will do is the students will listen to the story that the teacher will read. I just thought of one. It was just if you give a mouse a cookie, and then during the story they will make sure that I am asking the students questions about the plot and the storyline and their characters and what do you think is going to happen next, making them make predictions and stuff like that. After the story is completed, then they will go back to their seats and color the story's pictures. And once they're done finishing the color timeline, we would work on the timeline together, making sure that they are understanding it correctly. Meanwhile, the teacher will ask who the main character is and keep asking them questions to make sure they are understanding the different components of the story. So when they're done, we'll just have them sit back in their seats as a class and do an overview of what we learned, just kind of what the story's details were. Make sure that every student is engaged, and make sure that you ask to use an example of the timeline from a student so they can see a student's work as opposed to my work. Since they're so little, I didn't do too in depth of a rubric, but if they did not color or finish the assignment, I'll just give them a 3. If they put in effort but they missed 1 or 2 sections of the timeline, like they were out of order, then that's totally okay. I'll just give them a 4. And then if they got the timeline correct and it was colored, then it would be a 5. For students that are having a hard time understanding the story, I can sit down with them when the students are coloring and the other students are coloring and read them a story with a lower reading level, and then just ask them more so pop quiz style questions about the story and see if they're understanding it. And then after completing this assignment, students will be able to look at any story and interpret the key details about their stories.